Good day YouTubies, and welcome to my channel. Today we have a how-to video. We have a customer here with a hole in the plasterboard wall. Slight accident with an amplifier from what I understand. Very fortunate for them that like they said, they tripped at the top of the stairs and while carrying the amplifier, a big heavy PA system, they tripped and fell into the wall, which is fortunate that they did do that, because if they tripped and fell it would have gone all the way down the stairs and that could have been very nasty. So here we are anyway, going to try and fix it. We're not going to try and fix this hole itself. The way to do this now is a new sheet of plasterboard, draw a square several inches on the outside in case there's any damage at the plasterboard behind. Cut that out to the shape of the new plasterboard that we've put over the top and templated. And if there's a need, we'll put some bracings in, some lats to fasten the edges to, put some plasterer's tape on the inside, and a bit of polyfiller, sand it back. In this particular job I won't be plastering, I will be filling and smoothing as best as possible. This is an old wall. The plasterboard is about 10mm thick with roughly 2mm of finishing plaster on the top, so we're about 12mm. Modern plasterboard sheets are around 12.5mm thick, so we're going to have a 0.5mm difference. I hope to I will feather that off with a sander, polyfiller, and again create a surface to paint back over the top. There's several ways of cutting the hole out. Some will use, which I don't actually use, the big serrated plasterboard saw, but I have a mixture of tools here. I have a reciprocating saw, in my mind one of the greatest inventions of the 20th century. The other one's at the bottom of the stairs, I'll show you, but it's a small bladed circular saw, plunge saw. I've checked the cavity already, there are no wires to be aware of, and I am fortunate that I have probably 350-400mm spacings for stud work. So I'm going to chase down the stud work in the middle, cut the top and bottom out, and then this will just come out. First thing I've got to do is get the new sheet of plasterboard, measure it roughly to make that space, and then we'll go from there. Right, so what I've done with this bit now is I've used the stud work to give me an edge, basically a straight edge and something to work to, a guide. And I've found the middle of that, and I've drew a level line using my spirit level, and also matched it to the other stud work on the other side. So I've drawn a basic template of how big I want the new piece to be. I've transferred that to the new board. I'm going to place this now over where it should be, draw a second line around this so that it's matching in between the stud work, and then once I've got the second line I'll chisel it out. So I've marked that second line out. I'm now going to use my my small plunge saw here, and with the guide on the top I'm going to set the depth to roughly about 12mm, which I think it is. I'll probably go closer to 13. And if I haven't mentioned already, I've checked the walls, there are no wires internally, everything's safe. I'm just going to have a quick look again to make sure. So everything's clear there. Always advisable, if you're going to do any serious cutting like this, especially with fast spinning blades, get some safety wear on, and then off we go. I'm going to be vacuuming for a week. So I'm just going to go around the edges now with a fine saw, Stanley knife, and clear this out, and then we'll see about piecing the other piece in. That's that piece securely screwed in now. Highly recommend the proper drywall screw bit for the end that stops you sinking and puncturing the paper on the outside. That can cause problems later on for your render and paint, etc. So I'm going to fit the plasterer's tape now. I got this roll from B&Q. Plasterboard tape. I think it's less than a fiver. This is a self-adhesive. You put this to secure the joints, the gaps. It gives you a surface to fix to as well with any plaster, render, etc. Make sure your surface is of course free of dust. We're just going to stick it on half and half. And trim that with a knife. Simple procedure, nothing to be afraid of. I have made sure here not to overlap the tape on the corners. Something it's not that much of a problem. Personally, I think if you can keep the surface as even as possible, it saves time on trying to match a level surface later on. Oh, this hand's giving me jip. Anyone here for drone videos? I can't fly the drone either because this doesn't work properly. It's not something I would like to try. So there's my surface, nice and flush. Again, we've been fortunate with the old thickness being 10mm and 2mm skim, with a 12.5mm piece of plasterboard to go in. Here I'm trying another product from B&Q. I've never tried it before. It's the dial. This is interior ready mixed smoother. I think it's about £5 a tub, £4.50, something like that. So it's my first use of it. So we're going to see how it goes on. Really struggling. Oh. Some might say use your right hand. Of course that would make sense, wouldn't it? But why make it easy? If anyone would like to criticise my plastering skills, by all means do so. How much to the joiner? Anyone's wondering how I damaged my wrist. I'm the local alligator wrestler, and just this weekend it didn't go so well. You know, he flung around with his tail and really gave me a good crack. So, bit of feedback. This seems to be going on quite well. Happy with that so far. It seems to be setting quite well as well. I'm just going to fill out the middle as well, so that the surface is the same. We're kind of probably just going to skip to the end till I get this done, and then it will have to dry and be sanded. And ideally a primer will be applied, paint primer, and then the final couple of coats of white. I'll do my best to feather in to the existing wall. Well, there you have it. Now, for the purpose of this exercise today, I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to give you just a quick look. I'm going to let that dry and then come back to it. I'm expecting, I don't know, I'll read the packet probably a good couple of hours. Give it a nice sand flat, prime it, and then we're going to finish with the paint. So I'll see you again soon. So that's, to be honest, in hindsight, I wouldn't have put the plasterer's tape on this one because it's so flush, because I'm not going to skim, because it's already painted and I'm trying to blend it in to what already exists. The plasterer's tape's kind of created an issue with, if you can see, I don't know if you can see, matching it to the surface. I wanted it to be as flat as possible, so I think with such a small piece like this, I probably didn't need the plasterer's tape. If I haven't mentioned at the beginning, this is the first time I've actually done this. And so what I did a layer of plaster over the top, let it dry. I've sanded it again, and I've literally just covered the plasterer's tape and then lightly sanded that. That is an extremely flush finish. Straightforward job, kind of. But yeah, if you're going to do this, I wouldn't use the plasterer's tape. So I'm going to get an undercoat and then paint it, and then it's done. Right peeps, concluding part. I can't remember where I left off now. I'm trying to cut back on recording time. I didn't want to do the whole thing, you know, and then just have to speed it up. So, in hindsight, on this particular job, I would have left off the plasterer's tape, as because it's so flush, you know, because 12.5mm and the gap's 12.5mm, it's come right to the front of the paint. So putting the tape on has added that extra thickness, and then I've had to put plaster on, let it dry, sand it, and as I've sanded it, it's frayed the edges. So to try and keep it as flush as possible, yes, ideally I wouldn't have put that tape on again. However, it's had a few coats of paint on now. It's dried. It's not perfect, but because it's not perfect, it actually matches the rest of the wall. See, it is an old wall, but I'll give you a look. As best as you're probably going to see it in this light. I'm going to maybe turn around that way for you. It's actually patched in quite well. I'm happy with the job. Where the joints are or have been, there's slight recessing where the plaster's dried. It's obviously shrunk a little bit, and it's a faint outline of where I've pieced in. I may go over again tomorrow and just smooth that off, and then one final coat of paint should probably cover it. Other than that, I hope you've learned something from this video today. Sorry if I've cut most of the actual happening out. Good luck with your projects. Like and subscribe if you feel you can get anything from this channel in future. And keep checking for the updates. Remember to click the little bell in the corner. So I'll see you all again. Bye.